Alright guys, what's up? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. And in this video I wanted to have a little discussion about Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and whether or not it's actually overrated. Now that question in and of itself could be considered blasphemous by a certain amount of percentage of the Call of Duty community, but the thing is, when I first started playing Call of Duty was around the time of Black Ops 1. I actually played some Modern Warfare 2, and then Black Ops 1 was the one that basically turned my head and got me into the series. And then obviously Black Ops 2 sealed the deal for me, and it was basically kind of like tunnel vision after that, shortly after that. But Black Ops 1 was the first Call of Duty that I actually kind of fell in love with. And obviously back when I did play it, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, didn't know what the expectations for Call of Duty were or whatnot and stuff like that. But despite all that, I still really enjoyed the game, despite the fact that there were flaws that I did see but I just kind of ignored. But coming back and playing these games all these years later, with so many years of Call of Duty under my belt over the last years, up until the last couple of years, because Vanguard was the last one I played, and I only played that one for like the first few weeks after it came out or whatever it was, and then after that I put it down and I never touched any of the newer Call of Duties ever again. So now going back and playing these older Call of Duties, specifically Black Ops 1, yes, it does bring back a lot of memories, but at the same time, after all these years of playing Call of Duty and knowing what Call of Duty really is and the expectations and looking at it from multiple points of view in terms of what's good about the game, what's not good about the game, the issues, the non-issues, the things that made it good, the things that kind of were not so good about it, I just can't help but ask that question, because over the last God knows how many years, there's even been people throughout time that do not consider Black Ops 1 a good game. There are even people that do not consider Black Ops 2 a good game, despite the fact that both those games, by the vast majority of the community, are considered to be of legendary status Call of Duties. But when you think about the argument that some of those people present against those Call of Duties, like for instance, a lot of people didn't touch Black Ops 2 simply because of the fact that the snipers were just ridiculous, right? They were just getting quick scoped all over the place, even no scoped all over the place, even getting hip fired as if somebody was using a shotgun from all over the place, right? So the fact that the snipers were the way they were in Black Ops 2 for some people was more than enough for them to not play the game. For instance, my best friend loved Black Ops 1, but his experience with Black Ops 2 from the day of its launch was the fact that the game was broken to him simply because of the fact that there was some sort of hit detection connection issues, which was kind of interesting to me, because Black Ops 1 had hit detection issues, which we all experienced. So again, for Black Ops 1, it's one of the reasons why people didn't like that game. And conversely, so people didn't like Black Ops 1 as well, because of the fact that snipers couldn't ADS as fast as they did in Black Ops 2 or the way they did in Modern Warfare 2. Because ultimately, this game was also compared to Modern Warfare 2, and I do have to admit that in terms of the commercial success and in terms of units sold, I think Modern Warfare 2 had a lot to do, or let's just say a significant amount to do with Black Ops 1's success. I mean, I know Black Ops 1 was considerably different than Modern Warfare 2, no doubt about it, in so many different ways. But Modern Warfare 2 had the kind of legendary status of success that basically ended up kickstarting the whole and paving the way for the whole Call of Duty yearly juggernaut success that the game had. COD 4 turned people's heads. Modern Warfare 2 solidified everything, and then after that, it was game on. After Modern Warfare 2 released, every single Call of Duty after that would become incredibly successful, both financially and from a gameplay standpoint as well. But Black Ops 1 at the time was the first game to kind of introduce a certain level of balance into the game, into a Call of Duty game, because Modern Warfare 2 was kind of like, somebody compared it, I remember watching a content creator, and they compared it to like an overstuffed Philly cheesesteak that basically had like everything in it, right? Like overstuffed. We're not just talking about, we're talking meat, veggies, cheese, everything, like overstuffed, man, like ridiculous. That's what Modern Warfare 2 was in terms of its design philosophy, right? And then you've got Black Ops 1 that was a lot more balanced, right? There wasn't anything that was lacking, so to speak, that just made you feel like you were eating a piece of bread without anything on it, but it was a lot more, it was their way of putting balance into the game that Modern Warfare 2 simply didn't. And a lot of people were turned off about that. Like for instance, like once you got all your streaks, you had to die in order for your streaks to reset in order to get another set of streaks, right? You couldn't go into you could be like on a 30 gun streak, but you only have like one set of streaks and you got to use them and die before you can work towards your next set of streaks. Some people like that, some people didn't. Obviously, it helped in terms of making the game a lot more gun-on-gun centric. And of course, a lot of people didn't like the fact that once you got your streaks and you got kills with your streaks, that they didn't count towards your next streak. right? Some people like that, some people didn't. So it kind of really depends on the point of view of the player and their specific preferences. But at the same time, a lot of the things that people didn't like about Black Ops 1, including the people that actually like the game overall, are kind of there and kind of apparent. So again, most of the maps in the game, in my opinion, are good. But at the same time, there are a couple of maps in the game that were like, this one, like I kind of see what you're going for, but you really didn't quite hit the nail on the dot. But at the same time, it was Black Ops 1's map design philosophy was the foundation of what would become Treyarch DNA, so to speak, as they like to say, right? To where it's a 3-lane structure. Again, some people like the 3-lane structure, some people don't. But ultimately, as far as the 3-lane structure goes, Black Ops 1 was kind of like the foundation behind that. I don't know about World at War because I didn't play World at War, so maybe World at War had some sort of influence behind that. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can let me know about that for those of you guys that played World at War. But but ultimately, Black Ops 1 really just seemed to be the very foundation, obviously, of what made the Call of Duty Black Ops games, specifically the first 3, as successful as they were. Because it did things in a way that Infinity Ward didn't. And back during Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, Infinity Ward was like the first string quarterback, and Treyarch was not. So, and Treyarch and Infinity Ward were the only ones that were creating Call of Duty games at the time. And Treyarch was basically like the backup, right? Infinity Ward were the ones that were praised. And then fast forward to everything post Black Ops 1, Treyarch ended up taking over and was basically the first string quarterback at this point. So, so again, it really, a Treyarch game is quite different than an Infinity Ward game, and to this day, that still stands. The only time where they were actually damn near one and the same was during Black Ops 3 / Infinite Warfare times, right? Because, well, you guys know why. I really don't need to say anything more than that. I don't really need to waste any more time because it has not much to do with this video, but that was the only time, right? Other than that, they've been significantly different from one another. Sure, you could, there were a few things that were similar here and there, but for the most part, Infinity Ward always tried to kind of do their thing, while Treyarch pretty much always did their thing. It's actually a good thing because you would try to have something different every time. You don't want Call of Duty to repeat itself way too much every year. Despite the fact that the game is pretty much, again, a lot of people were criticizing the game because like, oh, it's the same thing every year. It's like, yes and no. It's like, yes, you're right, but at the same time, it's like, no, not exactly the same thing. So with that being said, when you looking at Call of Duty Black Ops 1 now, obviously the hit detection and connection inconsistencies, and the fact that there were only like 2 or 3 weapons that were probably because of those issues that were viable, like when you're looking at, like, for instance, AK-74U, the FAMAS, to being a couple of those weapons, and of course Ghost being the way it was. And now again, that was granted before they figured out how to mitigate that with Black Ops 2, but you guys get the point. There's no such thing as a current like a perfect Call of Duty. Like the flinch was absolutely atrocious as well. So you pair that up with the fact that you had inconsistencies with the connection / hit detection, as well as a few of the camera angles being a little off here and there. You put those things together, it's like that is more than enough for that to be annoying enough for people not to stick around with the game, at least not after a while. It's like, I'm sure there were a lot of people back in the day that wanted to like Black Ops 1, but because there was those issues that I just mentioned, it caused them to go back and play Modern Warfare 2. It's like, I want to love Black Ops 1, but it's just like, it's got this issue that just doesn't sit well with me, that ruins the game, so to speak. A lot of people have that aspect in their mind, right? That was the situation for them. So there's 3 possible scenarios that I can think of. Scenario number 1, the game is absolutely legendary and absolutely deserves all the praise it gets in terms of legendary status. Number 2, it was kind of like it was understandable by a lot of players why it's legendary, but at the same time, in their eyes, they don't see it as such because there are a few aspects of the game that are just downright annoying, and it keeps it from reaching its full potential in terms of the enjoyment factor. And then, of course, there's number 3, to where the game is just ruined because of the problems that it has. Because a lot of people just didn't like that kind of a flavor. That just made it seem a lot more quote-unquote quiet, as well as inconsistent. As far as I don't think anybody will argue about the hit registration inconsistency problems. Like, can you imagine in this day and age if they were to actually go and fix Black Ops 1, be like, yep, we fixed the hit detection, and then all of a sudden it's running better? I mean, I think a lot of people would love that game even more, to be honest with you. Like, including the people that love the game, they would love it even more. So yeah, because there's certain things with games that can make or break them. No matter how good the foundation of that game is for certain people. Like for instance, the major problem with Halo Infinite to this day is the fact that there's these desync issues that happen, and it messes with a lot of things, especially when it comes to a competitive setting, like when it comes to ranked or like every player, like especially pro players, I know that they kind of do not enjoy playing the game online because of the desync issue. But when they play on LAN, they probably absolutely love it. Like when you look at the sandbox of the game, you know, it's really solid. But again, the desync or whatnot and the things that can happen with that are something that ruins a game, right? So again, it's not really something that you can ignore, especially if you're like a competitive player. But you don't have to be competitive in order to ignore or not ignore certain aspects of the game. But like I mentioned in my previous Call of Duty video, my Black Ops in 2023 video, I mentioned that for a lot of people, like the game was so good, like they liked every other aspect of the game so good that we kind of let the bad inconsistencies of connection and hit detection slide. Really. But I want to know where you guys stand on this. Where do you guys stand in terms of Black Ops 1 overall as a multiplayer experience? Do you think are you somewhere in the middle to where it's kind of lukewarm, to where you really like what the things that they did right, but with the things that they did wrong, you absolutely didn't like, but you still enjoy the game, or or just 50-50 on it? Or do you think the game is just downright overrated and just bad? I really want to know, because when it comes to like every single Call of Duty title, especially looking back at it now with all these older Call of Duties that are now playable, it's like, it kind of makes you think, which is one of the reasons why I made this video, because I wanted to bring you in on this and I want to know where you stand and why. So if you'd be kind enough to let me know down in the comment section, I would really like to know, because again, I think we can find a lot of common ground in terms of likes and dislikes about the game overall. So anyway, with that being said, thank you very much for taking the time to watch and or listen. I'm going to end it here. Hope to see you guys on the next one, and thank you for watching. See ya.